Hello everyone. Welcome back to Dark Souls 2, Let's Talk Lore. This is, I believe, episode 19. And it wasn't pretty at all, but we defeated Sin. So, now that we don't have a dragon coming after us, we can have a look at this boss room, which is quite interesting because it has a number of crystal-type formations that are reminiscent to that of the Crystal Cave in Seath. And this is my first time noticing that. Not so much the ones... not so much these ones here, but the ones jutting out of the roof right here. That's very interesting. As you saw during the boss fight, Sin had a giant spear still lodged in his throat area. Clearly from the attempt made by Sir Jorg to get his hands on dragon blood, which, as the leader of the Drake Blood Knights, he held to be sacred. Speaking of which, and speaking of whom, this is Sir Jorg's body right here. With Sir Jorg's ring. Ring of Sir Jorg, who sought the blood of a dragon and invaded Shulva, can deflect spells. When Sir Jorg faced Sin, the slumbering dragon, he drew blood with a flash of his steel, but Sin responded by spewing forth the poison that had long brewed within him, blanketing the city in a miasmic cloud. We also have a couple souls we need to read, actually. Soul of Sin, Soul of Sin, the dragon who sleeps in the lowermost depths of this land. The king erected a magnificent city, and the dragon slept soundly, until Sir Jorg disturbed it with a single great strike, and the dragon could bear its store of poison no longer. The rain of death toppled the city, but restored the dragon's purity. I don't know quite what to make about the dragon's purity aspect of that, but very interesting that the king, which in between recording episodes, this is also on March 14th, by the way, same as episodes 16, 17, and 18. This will probably be the last one I do today. I might do one more, depending on how I feel after finishing this one. But I was doing some reading on the Dark Souls 2 subreddit, and came across a post that decried the Soul of the Rotten description that I was speaking of in at least one or two previous episodes, that implied that the Rotten is in fact the Sunken King. So now I don't know what to think, because I was somewhat convinced before that the Rotten was Pharaoh's. But now I'm not so sure. I guess for some of this stuff we'll just have to wait until Scholar of the First Sin to find out for sure. Crown of the Sunken King. Crown of the Sunken King, who once ruled this land. The king erected the eternal sanctum below the earth to worship the great dragon, but the towering bulwark crumbled with the city shortly after the dragon's awakening. But these were events of long ago, and today, no one even remembers the king's name. I was also reading another interesting theory, also by the Redditor who goes by the name of Ninth Belief, the same one from whom I first read about the theory that Sir Cyan is the Looking Glass Knight, about the Four Crowns being the Dark Souls 2 manifestation, the Four Kings, rather, of the Four Kings from Dark Souls 1. I'm not sure if I'm as convinced of that theory as I am that of his theory concerning the Looking Glass Knight, but something to keep in mind, and we'll talk about that as we proceed through the remaining 2 DLCs. I actually warped to the wrong bonfire there. Accidentally hit the A button twice. And wound up at the first bonfire, the Iron Keep. You'll notice that there's the Black Phantom turtle guy here. And that's because I may have mentioned in a previous episode that I burned a couple of bonfire ascetics in order to farm souls. And this was one of the places where I burned the bonfire ascetics. So I thought I would be doing way more damage to you. Oh. That timely roll. So, yeah, this ninth belief comes up with some very interesting theories. I am rather excited for Bloodborne, in part, like, for obvious reasons, because Bloodborne, but in particular because I think it's the first Souls game that I'll be playing from release where I'll actually be in a position to kind of develop my own ideas about the lore, and see if I'm 1/10 as good at doing so as I imagine I am. And I'm realizing just now, as I'm entering the DLC, that I am supposed to go speak with Vendrick after I obtain each crown. So when we get to the bonfire, I'm going to warp over to the Undead Crypt and hope that I remember before entering the 3rd DLC that that's what I need to do. So, implicit storytelling. Once again. What happened here? These are clearly Vendrick's men. Covered in ash and soot. And this is not snow. The first time I came to this area, I assumed it was snow. This is actually ash. And we have this rather ominous looking thing. I have my window open once again. I can hear ducks, and I can hear dogs barking and children screaming because there's a daycare on the main floor of my building. And so I sincerely hope, once again, I know I say this pretty much every episode, but I sincerely hope once again that I'm able to edit all that out, and if not, I hope you will forgive me because it's rather hot in my apartment, and so I do need to have the window open at least for today. And I can hear fire trucks now too. So as soon as you grab the smelter wedges off of that Ash Idol, and that is an actual Ash Idol where the other ones don't exactly crumble like that. An iron wedge forged in this land destroys the Ashen Idol. The Ashen Idol is of great consequence to Nadalia, who, having renounced her flesh, entrusts her very being to it. So, I'm assuming that these men here, Vendrick's men, perhaps invaded here, hoping to... Again, I have this image of Vendrick as being a very imperialistic leader, but also one that seems to recognize the value of, peace and orderliness. And as such, this isn't the first area that I've drawn the conclusion that Vendrick sent his men to maintain order. I don't know how valid that is, but speaking of Vendrick, let's go say hello to Vendrick.
Seeker of fire, deliverer of crowns. What do you see in the flames? Find the crowns and your own answers. The crowns hold the strength of lords from times long past. Seek adversity, as befits you, seeker of fire, coveter of the throne. Seeker of fire, conqueror of dark. I too sought fire once. With fire, they say, a true king can harness the curse. A lie, but I knew no better. Seeker of fire, you know not the depth of dark within you. It grows deeper still, the more flame you covet. Flame, oh, flame.
So now we've heard mentioned a number of times by a number of different characters, the latent darkness within humanity. I believe Aldia mentions it more than once. And now Vendrick is also drawing our attention in that direction.
I am king of this wretched, unraveled kingdom. I subdued the giants and claimed their strength, so that I might step closer to fire. Drang Lake will fall, the fire will fade, and the souls of old will re-emerge. With dark unshackled, a curse will be upon us, and men will take their true shape.
Once again, the unavoidable cyclical nature of the Souls universe. And in this case, the eventual, cyclical is the best way of putting it, of the fire growing, fire fading, the darkness within men and women re-emerging, the fire growing again, the darkness subsiding, and so on for eternity.
Drang Lake will fall, the fire will...
So he has nothing more to say to us for now. But, very interesting stuff. So once again, we're going to be using lots of speedrun strategies here. But first... And so while it's largely, as far as I'm concerned, impossible to hear what is being said, it can and it has been deciphered, essentially to things like, "My king, where have you been? You've been gone so long, I'm so glad you're here." And so that's led many to question, why does she seem to think that we are the Old Iron King? And the reason, as far as I'm concerned, is that you needed to defeat the Old Iron King in order to get here. Thus, ipso facto, your soul contains that of the Iron King's soul. It's merged or melded into your own. Even if you don't have it on your person, which I no longer do. If you consume the soul, say, it would still be a part of you. And so Nadalia came to this kingdom after it had already fallen, thinking that she was going to, thinking apparently that she was going to, I don't want to say seduce the king, but to become his queen. But she arrived here long after things had already gone awry. Oh, we don't have our moon skulls equipped. That's not good. So one thing I will resoundingly criticize Dark Souls 2 in comparison to Dark Souls 1, and that is with the inventory screens. I love how in Dark Souls 1, it's just, there are no columns, it's just one column, and just straight down. It can be unruly when you have many things in your inventory, but at least in that way you can organize things manually in such a way where you're much better able to access things quickly. Whereas in this one, you have to not only worry about the row, but also the column as well. So this is where our alluring skulls will come in handy, rather. As well as iframes. You notice that this was... This particular Ashen Idol gives them a buff. And as you can see, when we destroy the idol, the buff is no longer. They no longer are covered in that ash. So we'll read this whole description in just 1 second. I believe Fire Dance is back here. So I have closed the window, but I can still hear sirens. I hope that you cannot. Dance of Fire, yes. Pyromancy created by the Magus Aegon, loyal follower of the Old Iron King. Cast flame in a sweeping motion across a targeted area. The fire seems to dance, and make its victims dance with it. That's a nice little quip there at the end. Soul of Nadalia, Bride of Ash, who renounced her flesh and wandered Broom Tower. When Nadalia came to this land, the king she sought was no longer there. Dispirited, she forsook her own soul and clung to the heirlooms of the old king. And of course, that's only a fragment of the soul, and cannot be used until we obtain the rest of the souls. Which I don't think we're going to do. Just because it can be a pain in the ass to keep track, at least I've found that to be the case, to keep track of how many fragments you have, and then you wind up going from place to place, and there's also items down there, but I'm not going to bother. Go from place to place trying to figure out which of the Ashen Idols you've destroyed, and then occasionally you'll destroy an Ashen Idol, but neglect to pick up the soul afterwards. So it's just a whole thing. And given the... Come on, get out of the way, out of the way. Thank you. Given the time constraints under which this playthrough is currently operating, I don't want to have to bother with any wild goose hunts of that sort. Sorry guys, you know, secondary playlist. Playthrough title, Aegon Astora fails at parrying things. It succeeds at roll backstabs, apparently. Failing at parrying things. Succeeding at roll backstabs. Like clockwork. I don't know why I picked that up. Cess is +8, but sure, why not? Let's heal up our bonfire. Sit down for a sec, pop back up. So, again, I have to question the where and when of this DLC. In that... Oh, sorry. I thought I missed a barrel guy there. There he is. In that... It's possible that we could be in the same wear of the Iron Keep prior to it sinking into the lava in the state that we currently find it. But it's also possible that this is a different place, a different part of the kingdom, because the Iron King's kingdom was not insignificant in its size. And so this is probably my least favorite room in the whole game, but it's made at least somewhat more bearable by these barrel guys, who you can sometimes, or at least who will sometimes of their own accord, it's kind of hard to control them yourself, will mosey on over to the giant Iron Warrior, I believe that guy's called over there, who will then drop fire on them and kablamo. But it doesn't look as though they're terribly eager to go say hello to him. So this is a complicated operation because you're probably going to want to disable the Ashen Idol, but you also need to open the gate. But what we can do actually is just poison him, at least while we consider our options, and hope that he starts moving around. Okay, he's poisoned. Increasing the chances that he'll run into one of the barrel guys. Although the poison seems to be working rather well on its own. Oh, if this guy only got a little bit closer. No, go left, go left. Yes, yes. Keep going. Keep going, barrel guy. Please. No. Yeah, this whole... Like, I get what they were trying to do, but it's just so tedious the way it actually works out. Oh, this barrel guy. Come on, please. I don't think they're going to cooperate, so we're just going to poison him. Oh wait, there's a barrel guy right there. No! No. No! Thank you. Alright. So now all we need are some luring skulls. I believe this is the flame quartz ring +3? Yes. Not that we'll need that, but it's a bunch of decent pickups here. Human effigy, twinkling titanite. Large titanite shard, dried root. Not super useful, but useful enough. Not stopping for anything here, though. Whew. That was a close one. Ouch. I was gonna let you live, but forced my hand. So mechanically, and in terms of level design, I think this, together with the Ivory King DLC, are just spectacular. And though, as I'm sure you've been able to tell throughout the course of this playthrough, though I very much enjoy Dark Souls 2, and to this day, almost a year after its initial release, I still have a ton of fun every single time I play it, and I've clocked well over 1,000 hours at least. But I can't help but wonder how great it could have been if the main game, the base game, was designed in a similar manner as the last 2 DLCs, or even all 3 DLCs. Just excellent, excellent design. Not so much in terms of the enemies who teleport and have infinite poise and stuff like that, but level design superb, especially when compared to some of the more lackluster levels in the base game. See if we can push this sorceress into the fire. There we go. Ah, the Fuming sorcerer, rather. This one isn't gonna budge. Stuff like that, where I'm just like, it just strikes me as artificially difficult. I do like these guys. I would like them much more if they weren't constantly raining fire down on me. I'm very grateful of the fact that at the very least they are susceptible to being poisoned, though. Or are they? Yes. Okay, he's done for. Come on, iframes. Thank you. Alrighty. Hey fellers, I need one of you for a quick job. Come on. Yep. Perfect. That's my guy. Nope, nope, nope. Yep. Keep going. Well done. Oh wait, that's not the wall. What am I doing? Okay. It's the next one. Oh wow. God, he was trying to lead me in the right direction. Wow, and I was all condescending to him. So I don't know if these guys have any lore significance attached to them, other than the obvious that the old Iron King, it does not seem, was 8 petrified dragon bones. That's rather nice. It does not seem as though the old Iron King took too kindly to labor laws or anything of the sort. Which, given everything else we know about the game, I suppose it isn't a significant surprise. Okay, I need one more of you guys. quick job, won't take long. Yep. And then turn right. Well done. Yep, keep going that way. Yep, yep. Thank you. This is, I believe, the Katarina chess piece. And the lightnings, very nice. Oh, it was the gauntlets and the lightnings. Odd gauntlets shaped like an onion. These gauntlets appear rather absurd, but their multi-faced construction is in fact quite practical, as they effectively deflect physical attacks. The old tales speak of brave Katarina knights wearing these gauntlets as they rushed courageously into battle. Yep, that sounds about right. Maybe courageous isn't the best word to describe Sigmire screaming, "I am Sigmire of Katarina, and you will feel my wrath!" And then walking into Poison Swamp and dying to the poison effect. So many attempts at completing that questline in Dark Souls 1 that just did not go well. So, as you can tell, I'm a little bit bitter about it. I realized about 10 minutes into recording this episode that I am really, really hungry. So I apologize if my commentary is scarce or scattered or anything of the sort in this episode. But, yes, I am hungry. Farmed a fair bit of souls during one of the renderings. When I was doing a render on my computer, didn't want to record at the same time. So, bought a ton of consumables, in addition to leveling up. Basically, vigor, endurance, strength, and dexterity all to 4. So it's a quality build, basically, in every sense of the word. And I'm now realizing that I probably should have went and grabbed another Seed of a Tree of Giants, because this is another very helpful spot to have a NPC invader turn summon. You can stop their self-destruct animation by killing them. Ouch. That one was close, though. I probably would have been a goner. Meant to do a jump attack there. Thankfully, we got a fair bit more damage with our Ring of Blades, plus some of my leveling up. As you can see, 40-40, 40-40, 10 Vitality, 5 Attunement, 5 Instant Faith, and 32 Adaptability, which basically hasn't changed since the beginning of the run. So 414 attack damage, not bad. It'll be closer to 450 with the Ring of Blades plus 2, but at which point the playthrough will essentially be over, so... Hello, Rachel. Give me a sec to buff as well, please. Thank you. So you can cheese her by just doing this. Of course, you hurt yourself as well if you stand in the flames as I just was. Wow, look at how much health she has. 900, so she's got about 4,000, 5,000 health, something like that. Whoa! How did that happen? I guess too much standing in the fire. Let's do that to your third dragon ring. Come here, Rachel. What's going on? No stagger whatsoever. Sorry for cheesing you, but I'm hungry, so I want to get to the end of this DLC so I can eat something. Or at least I want to get to it. Okay, iframes, thank you. Not going to bother with any of the items in the other room. Might grab the life ring plus 3 later on. And some Titanite chunks and stuff, but I don't want to be ambushed by that, the Fume Sorcerer who ambushes you in that one room. So, this is very interesting lore-wise, and I probably should have looked at the outside of the tower before we came here. Because you can see pretty clearly that the Scorching Iron Scepter is powering this tower. And that's why I mentioned mechanically how cool this DLC is, because as soon as you take the Scorching Iron Scepter, this tower, you can see, is no longer operational. But when we place it in the tower near the foyer bonfire, that tower is all of a sudden operational. And these strange enemies seemingly worshipping the Scorching Iron Scepter. Don't understand that at all, but it's quite interesting. They don't pay any attention to us until we grab it. Hopefully at which point they'll pay attention to the little skull I just toss. But in the interest of time, I think we're going to use the feather. So you can see that, yeah, this entire tower is out of service, I guess. So, but before we use the Scorching Iron Scepter, let's check out the description. A scorching hot iron scepter used to activate contraptions by transferring heat to Broom Tower. Oh yes, this is Broom Tower, pardon me. When the Old Iron King wrested this dilapidated region from the Kingdom of Ven, the act required all the resources the enfeebled lord could muster. But with the discovery of this iron-producing miracle, he was reborn as a powerful leader. So somewhat similar to just the way, world politics have worked throughout history, in that often it doesn't really have much to do with, the ingenuity of a given nation's people, or, their desire to do good. It's often just accidents and circumstances of history. A country like the United States has enormous advantages in terms of its resources and its specific geopolitical location. Same thing with Canada, with my home country. And yeah, so I like very much that throughout the Soul series there seems to be none of the usual tropes of, glorifying individual leaders as being, brilliant and magic bullets, basically, for their chosen cause. Everything involves a fair bit of contingency, and all of the individuals contained within are humanized in a way that they're not deified, if that makes any sense at all. Artorias from Dark Souls 1 is a great example, because in the main game, you kind of got the impression that, the legend of the Abyss Walker kind of, it's stuck out in such a way that, it didn't fit with the way the rest of the characters were portrayed. And then the Artorias of the Abyss DLC comes around, and it turns out that, once again, in a time travel paradox of sorts, it was not Artorias who halted the spread of the Abyss, but it was in fact the Chosen Undead, who defeated Artorias on the way to halting the spread of the Abyss. And part of the reason I bring that up is, of course, that Artorias is the majestic greatsword, which is Artorias' greatsword from Dark Souls 1, makes a reappearance in this DLC. I don't think we're going to go down there and grab it, but it is there. But also that it's important to understand the story of Manus, the father of the Abyss, in order to understand the story of Dark Souls 2. Oh, I dropped down an extra level there. And we're going to need to S this very fast. And repeatedly. R1 spam for the win. No need for Partisan +6. We're going to poison the Iron Warrior from up here. Relative safety. So after Manus was defeated by the Chosen Undead and not Artorias, nope, power's flickering again. That's not good. After after Manus was defeated by the Chosen Undead, he split in his soul was split into fragments, and those fragments formed together and essentially became the daughters of Manus. So that is Chandra, and they all represent something different. I know Nashandra is wand. Nashandra, Alsana, Ilana, and who am I forgetting? Nadalia. And what I like about the way the DLC fleshes out these characters is that they're not necessarily, as I complained in one of the earlier episodes, they're not necessarily just evil, vindictive women. The context for all of their stories is rather important. And in particular, Alsana, the Silent Oracle, we discover essentially has the noblest of intentions, and really does care very deeply for the Ivory King. A great deal of admiration and respect and love, and yeah, she's apparently the manifestation of Manus' fears, I believe. But we will get to that later. There are items in some of these Ashen very creepy how the hands move and the face. Nadalia kind of looks at you as you are destroying the Ashen Idol. So I prefer to use a rapier for this fight than I do my longsword. If you just hug the wall like this, you can, I believe, keep all of the Iron Warriors from spawning. Come on. Another thing I need to make sure I do before Bloodborne comes out is start deleting excuse me, start deleting a lot of the raw footage I have on my computer, because I'm just looking at the recording right now and it's already at 3 gigabytes. I have in total, I think, 2 terabytes of storage, which when I first got up to that number I was like, wow, that's so much. But as soon as you start capturing HD video, it's not so much anymore. There we go, 3 Titanite chunks, that's what I was looking for. And let's rest the bonfire here. And so it's kind of a shame that I never acquired the intelligence needed in order to so that I could go talk to Carillion. Not a shame because I want to summon him for the fight, because he's terrible for this fight. In fact, both of the NPC summons are. But just by the mere fact that you can find a summon sign here, I think is pretty cool. That, in contrast to my complaint, that was one NPC they actually fleshed him out a little bit more beyond being found out in the world and then just moving back to Majula and sitting there under a tree for the rest of his life. At least it seems he traveled here. Why? I'm not sure. But we're about to meet Vendrick's former right hand, or left hand, depending on how you look at it. So this is Raim, or Raimi, otherwise known, or now known, as only as the Fume Knight. My favorite boss fight in the game. Oh, I got very lucky there. And there, but... Ouch. He's gonna be buffing soon. Is he waiting for me to heal? I'll heal. Gained a little bit of HP. There's the buff. There's the AoE. Another AoE. Ran out of stamina. Running stab attack. I don't know what I'm getting hit by there. Just the fire damage, I guess. AoE. I got greedy, but very lucky there. Picked up another shard of Nadalia's soul, plus the soul of the Fume Knight. So let's check it out. Obviously it is a dark soul. Soul of the Fume Knight that guards the dungeon of Broom Tower. Rain was a distinguished knight who became infatuated with the Bride of Ash, and settled in this land of smoke and fog. Doesn't tell us all that much, but there are a couple other items that will tell us more. Beginning with the Rebel's Great Shield, which, yeah, that's something that I really want to explore that particular story in greater depth. So that will be something we do very soon. Crown of the Old Iron King. Crown of the Old Iron King, who once ruled this land. The king sunk below the scorching iron, met the one whose name must never be repeated, and became Icarus Earth, aka the boss that we fight. But these were events of long ago, and today, no one even remembers the king's name. So, I wonder if this is the actual physical body of Nadalia, as it was before she gave up her physical form and put together and transferred herself into the Ashen Idols. I'm not sure. But that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and we still got 2 or 3 more episodes to go. So we still got a fair bit of exploring and picking up loose ends that we've left along the way. Notwithstanding those loose ends, which I've said now that I unfortunately won't be able to tie together. But Rain, aka the Fume Knight, is definitely going to be one of those loose ends. So stay tuned and we'll learn more about him next time. Take care. Bye-bye.